Today we are going to be looking at Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and what we know so far. But first, let's have a quick recap on Naughty Dog. Back in early March, we learned Amy Hennig, the creator of the Uncharted series, left Naughty Dog. Then followed by Hennig, game director of the Uncharted series, Justin Rismond, also left Naughty Dog. But not to worry, Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley, the co-directors of Naughty Dog's latest and most successful game, The Last of Us, are now taking charge of the next Uncharted. Also following after Hennig's departure was our close friend, Todd Stashwick, who was the voice actor in the Uncharted teaser trailer. These departures from Naughty Dog left many fans wondering whether or not if this is going to have an impact on the next Uncharted. Now, this may not have a huge impact with the loss of a few production team members, but losing a voice actor will have a small impact as they have to be replaced by another actor. Many of us have been wondering who will replace the voice of Todd Stashwick, but no one has yet been confirmed. If we could take our best guess, it could most likely be Troy Baker, the voice of Joel in The Last of Us and many other video game characters. Not only does he have an excellent voice and sound almost like Stashwick, but he's a very close friend of Neil Druckmann, but that is only pure speculation. Finally, the last cast member involved that most people have forgotten about is former Hobbit, X-Men and Lost star Dominic Monaghan. We first learned about Monaghan back in October when he was visiting the Naughty Dog studio and posted a few pictures on Twitter. It was a picture of Monaghan alongside with Nolan North, the voice of Nathan Drake, Todd Stashwick and Amy Hennig that gave us the indication that he would be playing a role in Uncharted 4. That's what we know on Naughty Dog. Now let's look at the game. First, we're going to have a look at the very first information that we got on Uncharted 4, which was the release trailer shown at the launch of the new PlayStation 4. In this teaser trailer, we got a view of a historic map with different writings with information and personal messages. The map itself charts a route from southern Africa and along the east coast before settling at Madagascar, or to be more specific, Ile Sainte Marie, also known as St. Mary's Island, which is the island circled at the end of the trailer. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the island was a haven for pirates that preyed on European ships returning from India and Southeast Asia. According to legend, the island was part of an anarchist colony known as Libertatia, founded by pirates under the leadership of Captain James Mission, with the motto "For God and Liberty," as shown in the teaser trailer. The map also shows "Every betrayed us all." Henry Every was an English privateer who became known as one of the most infamous pirates of his day in the 17th century and was known as the Arch-Pirate, or the King of Pirates. Much of that reputation comes from his attack on convoy ships travelling from India, an attack that made Every the richest pirate in the world. It is known that Every swindled his crew into letting him serve as custodian for treasure, then ran off with it. Considering that the Uncharted trailer has a reference to Every betraying a shipmate, this is probably the path Naughty Dog will take. Not only was Every an infamous pirate, Every was one of the few to retire with his loot and riches intact. His wealth was never found, though his crew was eventually found, tried and executed. Every eluded capture and disappeared. If Libertatia ever actually existed, and if Every found retirement in its safety, then that would make a good resting place for his colossal treasure. If you remember Naughty Dog's developer diary for The Last of Us, it offered a quick glance at some concept artwork being shown in the background of Naughty Dog's offices. The apparent slip featured concept art of 17th or 18th century clothing. Now, it has been rumoured that we'll be experiencing the past with Sir Francis Drake. However, it is most unlikely, considering Henry Every was born 60 years after Drake's death. But between 1577 and 1580, Drake's voyage took him around the world, the island Ile Sainte Marie being one of the locations marked on his route, so this could play a part in the storyline. The guy talking in the trailer may be one of Every's crew members, but there is a possibility that it could be Robert Drury. Robert Drury was an English sailor on the Degrave, who was shipwrecked at the age of 17 on the island of Madagascar. He would be trapped there for 15 years. Robert arrived in England finally on 9 September 1717 after 16 years. He then returned to Madagascar to become a slave trader. He may have even eventually also become a pirate for some time. In the dialogue of the teaser trailer, he says,
"Some chains can never be broken. I lost 15 years, buried alive, erased. You left me, rotting in that hellhole and never looked back. But you can't outrun the past. And when it catches up, when all your lies collapse around you, I'll be there, sifting through the wreckage. You owe me."
unless it's pure coincidence, it looks like Drury will play in some part of the storyline. Now that is the history that Uncharted 4 may be exploring and perhaps even playing in as part of a flashback, but we'll talk more about that later. At this year's E3 2014, we got a short clip of what is believed to be a cutscene from the Uncharted 4 game. It is safe to say that Nathan Drake and Victor Sullivan will be making a return to Uncharted, as we heard them both talking in the trailer. Elena Fisher will also make a return, as she has been with Drake from the beginning, and as you can see from the trailer, Drake is still wearing his wedding ring. The return of Chloe Fraser and Charlie Cotter are most likely to make a return as well. Now let's talk about the storyline. We know that Drake has been out of the game for a long time, but is somehow forced back into the world of thieves without any option. If we just look at this small piece of information, we can assume that someone very important to Drake, most likely Elena, is in trouble, perhaps even used as bait, which is forcing him to get back into the game. Drake comes to Sully for help, who agrees to help one last time. Looking at Naughty Dog's brief description of the game, they say at the end, what he's willing to sacrifice to save the ones he loves. Could this mean Drake will have to sacrifice Sully to save Elena? Will Sully die for certain this time? All we know is that someone will die in this game. In the cutscene that is shown, it looks like Drake has just been in a battle and was knocked out by a waterfall fall, causing him to be washed ashore by the river. Now if you look closely in the background, it looks very like the location of the picture we showed earlier, which is based in Ile Sainte Marie. So Drake has found his way to the island, where the possible pirate treasure is hidden. From the previous Uncharted games, we know that it's going to be more than just a hidden pirate treasure. We may find ourselves up against dangerous supernatural beings that could have existed due to an ancient curse, tree steroids, or water drugs. There is a legend in Madagascar that claims ghosts of the dead exist, and one in particular known as Kinoli. The Kinoli haunt only their own graves, and they cause pestilence and misfortune on those who have wronged them. They look like real people with some inhuman characteristics, such as red eyes and razor-sharp fingernails that are used to rip out the internal organs of the living. Sound like something Drake could face? So maybe we'll learn why this treasure was hidden, and why Drake is forced to find it. The villain that is putting Drake up to this task is probably Dominic Monaghan's character. He could be the one with Elena's life on the line in order for Drake to help him find the treasure. Now you may be thinking, I thought Todd Stashwick's character was going to be the villain, and he may very well be, but not in Nathan Drake's timeline. We know that Naughty Dog has used flashbacks in their games, starting with Uncharted 2, where Drake was in a train wreck at the start, then flashed back to how he got there. It was also done in Uncharted 3, when we met young Drake following Sully. So in this game, we may be playing a back and forth style from the present to the 17th century. We got a glimpse of what looked like a pirate Todd Stashwick lookalike when Naughty Dog showed off their game graphics, which is another indication that he will be in the flashback. But will we be playing as Todd's character? Probably not, as he posted a picture showing him in his mocap suit, reaching out saying, "Hurry, blank, there's no time." This could mean that we'll be playing as someone else alongside with Todd's character. Could that person be Henry Avery? While we're looking at this picture, do you notice that he's wearing a dark ring on his right finger? Since he wears his own wedding ring on his left hand and doesn't normally wear a ring on his right hand in real life, could this ring have some significance? Stashwick also posted 2 pictures of a dummy whose right hand is placed behind its back, but there is not much given away in these pictures to speculate on. Finally, we may learn more about Drake in this game, as we know from Uncharted 3 that Nathan Drake isn't his real name. It could very well be Eugene Smith, but who knows? One last speculation before we finish. Since this game theme is based on piracy, do you think we will see Rika Raja again? If you remember from Eye of Indra, Drake said to her, "It's a small world, Rika, I'm gonna find you," after she sailed off with the loot. That's it. We covered everything we know so far about Uncharted 4 A Thief's End. Remember, all this is just pure speculation, so we could be either completely right, very close, or just completely wrong.